not care if my cape is blue. Tried to cut, then hang me too. Got fucked up by Mary Lou. Out the window, I've been shoved. Prom won't wait. Mary Lou has 16 dates. Molesting showers with your mates. A steak bum from above. So let's make out at prom, alright. Set a teacher's crotch alight. Mary Lou gives men a fright. It's horror movie night.
Oh my god! That was amazing! Actually record a podcast. Wow! Oh my god!
All right, so we're talking about 1987's Hello, Mary Lou, Prom Night 2, which, in my opinion, is the best of the prom night movies. And this was picked by Scott.
Not saying much because the others are awful and this one's awesome.
Prom Night 3 follows the Mary Lou story enough that I'm interested, but then Prom Night 4 is just garbage again. So you picked this one, Scott. I believe it's because we're near prom season was your decision to pick this.
Yes, take me to the prom. Yes. I chose this because this will be airing right dead center in prom season. And we all know how much we love getting stabbed when we're wearing dresses.
Yep, and you and I do celebrate the week of promedy, so no better time than to watch Hello, Mary Lou, Prom Night 2. I'm very upset because I won't get to do my giant prom party that I did last year, since literally every human being that I know is getting married each and every weekend in the month of May. But you know,
I thought that was because you weren't allowed to go near the schools anymore.
No. The prom party's at my house. The kids can come over whenever they want.
Kids from school anymore.
So I watched this movie last night. I got home way later than I anticipated getting home. Like, I got home at like 1:30, and I was like, I do not want to stay up until 3 a.m. watching Prom Night 2, even though I love this movie and I've seen it a bunch of times. So I kind of Scott Rogered this bitch.
Is that... have we verbed my name now?
Yeah. So I put the subtitles on. And I just watched it at like 1.5x speed and read the movie and watched it. So I watched the whole movie. I just watched it in an hour as opposed to an hour and 37 minutes. Anyway, so the movie...
If it's any consolation, I have a shitload of notes.
That's great. I have a ton of notes too. This did not detract me from being able to write notes. It just sped up the process. So if I forget exact names and shit, it's because I haven't heard the names said. I've just read them. But most of the names are like fucking Billy and Buddy and shit, so I don't think I'm going to have too much of a trouble here. So
you know that I'm stoked about a horror movie that's tied to the 1950s.
Yeah, right away it's got 50s rock all up in it, which is exciting as all hell. It opens with a really weird but kind of badass confessional sequence.
Yes, oh my god.
Like, if that wasn't in a horror movie and was just in, like, a teen comedy, everyone would be talking about that scene.
Well, it's kind of like you're not expecting anything from that scene. You're expecting, like, a kill, I guess.
Yeah.
But it turns at 180 degrees, and instead it's just showing how naughty Mary Lou is. I looked up the woman who plays Mary Lou. I didn't write down her real name, but... I had to look her up and make sure, but she's a fembot. She's on my list now. You know, the dark hair, blue eye fembots that I am obsessed with, obviously because I married one. But that's another reason why I definitely was attracted to this film in high school, because, she's just gorgeous.
So after we get past the confessional sequence, which really doesn't do anything but establish that Mary Lou's like a bad girl, we're at the prom in 1957. Mary Lou is cheating on her boyfriend Billy, or her date. I guess it's not her boyfriend, but her date Billy with Buddy.
No, it was her boyfriend, because he was like, "We've been going steady for a year, and you never went this far," or something like that.
Yeah.
So it was her boyfriend.
So she's cheating on Billy with Buddy. And Billy decides to play a prank on her when she wins the prom queen by dropping a stink bomb, which ends up setting her on fire.
Because she was head to toe doused in kerosene at the time, for some reason.
how would she win prom queen? Wouldn't everybody in 1957 hate a floozy? Like, she was slutty. Everybody knew that she was banging tons of dudes.
Yeah,
and she was a mean girl, but I don't understand how she would win.
But the guys all that slept with her probably put in a vote.
Yeah, but all the girls who their boyfriends cheated on them with Mary Lou would have hated her, and I don't know. I guess
but they would have had to. Here's the thing: you have to think about it like this way. Like, say that there's 100 students, right? And there's 50 guys and 50 girls, and all 50 guys have slept with Mary Lou and have put votes in there, and then the other 50 girls are like, no, fuck Mary Lou, but they don't get uniformed and decide on one person that they're voting for. Their 50 votes are scattered across a bunch of different people.
This is very true. I appreciate that you understand the American voting system.
I assumed that it was something similar to what happens in the present day or whatever, 10 years later, where she slept with the person that was counting the votes to win.
That's also a big possibility.
Dude, spoiler alert that happens later on.
But so we jump 30 years into the future to the glorious year of 1987. Combining 80s and 50s is a thing that happens a lot. Also, combining 50s and 90s is a thing that happens a lot in movies, and I love it. I love it every time.
Yeah,
it's all of my favorite decades just smashed into one movie.
I understand why, the 80s, it would have made sense, because 30 years is it's like a really round number for them to be like, 30 years ago this horrible thing happened, and it's been 30 years and might happen again. That's the whole point. Whatever. But that means that also the parents are 40, late 40s.
Yeah.
And so it's like the sins of the parents are trickled down into the children, which is something that they should have done in Nightmare on Elm Street, because I'm assuming that it would have been the late 50s, early 60s when Freddy was killed, right?
Yeah. Well,
whatever.
Well, it would have been
late 60s.
No.
Mid 60s because the kids are 17.
Yeah, so they would have been kids. It would have been 10 years later.
Yeah, only 10 years.
Yeah.
Because they were, maybe 15.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. Okay, sorry, off topic. But two things. One, no one ever actually eats their fucking breakfast. It's so wasteful. They've got, toast and milk and juice and whatever, and a bowl of cereal, more breakfast than any one person is ever going to eat, much less a teen girl. And they sit down and they're like, oh, my ride's here, bye. And you're like, eat your breakfast.
I feel like that's in a lot of 80s movies, though. Isn't that an ongoing joke in Heathers? That the parents have all this food on the table, and Winona Ryder will come down, sit for 5 seconds, eat a piece of toast, and then leave, and they just act like it's normal.
You should ask Megan, because she loves Heathers, and she always wants to watch it, and I never want to watch it.
Oh, man, I would love to do an episode on Heathers.
Well, then maybe we can have her pick that one.
Yeah, I'd be fine with that. I fucking love that movie. But yeah, so we jump into the future, we meet Vicky, who's got an overprotective mother who won't let her get a new dress.
Moms are the worst.
And that's the worst. I'm going to jump ahead for a quick second, then we'll backtrack. The mom won't let her get a new dress, so she's going to try to find a dress in the school prop box at school.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, and eventually finds Mary Lou's prom attire. And we'll get back to that, because I want to talk about the potato radio sequence that happens.
Well, before we get into, I want to open this up and just because this movie was meant to be an homage to other horror movies that got pigeonholed into the prom night format. So the writer of this movie, he wanted it to be a send-up of Carrie and Nightmare on Elm Street type shit and all that kind of stuff. And he did that thing that fucking 85 movies have done, where you name your characters' last names after famous horror directors.
Yeah, there was a Mr. Craven was one of the teachers, I remember.
Yeah, exactly. Shit like that. So when he sold it to the studio, Prom Night had just came out, and that did very well financially for them. So they're like, fuck yeah, and they just slapped Prom Night on this thing, did a couple of reshoots to make it sort of fit into that format. But doing that to this movie makes it look like a huge fucking hack ripoff of all those other movies, as opposed to a send-up or a homage of it. Because you're looking at the mom and you're like, that's just the fucking mom from Carrie. And we get to the end scene and you're like, this is just a fucking end scene from Carrie. And she has those dream sequences where she's freaking out and hallucinating the hallways. You're like, this is just fucking Nightmare on Elm Street. It feels like a total ripoff. Now, if they had clearly guided you to the fact this is an homage, we know that's what we're doing, I would have been more comfortable with it. But the whole time, like until I found that information out at the end, I was like, this is so fucking hack. This is such a ripoff of everything that's come before it. Like, who made this? Fucking Sam Raimi? Fucking hacks? Goddamn.
I love that you brought it back around. So, Potato Radio. Like, that scene, I don't know why it was so funny to me, but actually, I gotta say, there were certain points where I did watch, like, I would stop the speeding forward to, like, listen to the scenes, because I remember there being, like, some decent dialogue. Like, the dialogue in this movie is actually pretty funny and witty at times.
Yeah, it's a great movie. I did not appreciate it nearly as much when I first saw it in high school, and I didn't watch it again until 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, it's fucking fun. It's a fun movie.
So when her gypsy outfit wearing friend, or like, you know, the one who's like
Robert Smith from The Cure?
Yes. Yeah, first of all, that outfit is just god-awful, and I'm so glad that I wasn't in high school in 1987, so that I don't have pictures of me dressed up like an idiot. Although I did have bleached tips when I was in high school, so I do still have pictures of me looking like an idiot.
I wore a lot of Hawaiian shirts back in the 90s.
Oh, dude, so did I, but that's because I like ska. The bathroom scene where her gypsy friend, where Robert Smith is like, I'm pregnant, that's when the movie got scary. Yes, Mary Lou's ghost could have cut off the pregnant girl's head with the paper cutter, but at the last minute decided that she'd go with the hanging, because then I guess it would look like a suicide instead of a murder, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
It seemed a little odd.
Because I was like, yeah. I knew that she got hanged. Like, I remembered that from watching it previously. But then I saw the paper, like, this was the first time I saw the paper cutter, like, falls to the ground. I'm like, why didn't they use that? Like, that could have been a way better death, actually.
I think their budget did not have that kind of, like, that kind of money for their budget. Like, hey, guys, can we get a decapitated head over here? No? Okay, well, then I guess we're just going to hang her.
Well, it was so weird. It was like she like, the ghost, like, smashed her head against the wall. I'm like, okay, that's how she did it. And then it was like, no, she changed her mind. Now it's a paper cutter. And then it's like, oh, no, never mind. She changed her mind. Now she's going to hang her. And she's like, oh, no, she changed her mind again. She fucking throw her out the window. I'm like, fucking typical women always can't make up their goddamn minds.
It was like that scene in Student Bodies where, like, the killer's looking at all the different weapons, and it's like a gun, a knife, a noose, and then he picks up a paper clip and uses that to kill somebody.
Yes.
So this is around the point when we find out that Buddy is now a priest, and Billy is the school principal and also the father of Vicky's boyfriend, Craig. And Buddy tries to let Billy know, like, yo, fucking Mary Lou is back, and that's not good. At the same time, Vicky is having a bunch of weird hallucinations, one of which that leads to her mistaking her rival Kelly as Mary Lou and punching her, which lands her in detention. But is
that when she's like, you shut your fucking mouth, bitch? Yeah. Like, that is like, well, I was like, whoa, rude.
Yeah. The best of all those hallucinations, though, is that fucking bedroom scene. Is so good.
That was the only thing I remembered from this movie before rewatching it. I was just like, oh yeah. The creepy the creepy horse, like the rocking horse, was all I remembered from this movie. And but she's like stroking it really seductively later. It's weird. There's a lot of gropey ghostiness in this movie.
But yeah, that horse, like, as a cheap puppet practical effects, still looks pretty awesome.
Oh yeah. When I went into this, I had just, I think, seen the original Prom Night. You know,
which is like a real drag for like half that movie.
Yeah, that movie's not that great, but it's got a great chase scene. That's really all it's got going for it. This movie has a lot more going for it, which is great. But it felt so out of place the first time I watched it, because I was like, what am I doing watching this film? This is such garbage. But Adam shining a light on it being like more of an homage type film, where they're doing a bit more send up type stuff to more famous stuff that was coming out around the same time. Makes a whole lot more sense. And I really enjoyed this way more this time anyway. So that rocking horse was really fun. It kind of reminded me of the teddy bear scene in the brain.
Yeah.
Less chocolate syrup, though.
The other thing is, like, let's be honest, like, Prom Night, the original was a rip-off movie. Like, it was, hey, we need to cash in on the popularity of Halloween, Friday the 13th, and Terror Train. And
so that's what I was going to ask. Did Terror Train come out first?
I think it did, but I could be wrong. It was
Because Terror Train's really bad.
Yeah, it was definitely like Jamie Lee Curtis did pretty much like 3 horror movies that were almost identical, like back to back to back. I just can't remember if Prom Night or Terror Train came out first because they were all like 1979, 1980, 1981, and maybe like 1982.
82 would have been Halloween 2, I think.
Yeah. So
Or was that 1981?
Who knows? Who knows? It doesn't matter. But yeah, she packed her career with the same role pretty early on, and that's why she's mostly remembered as being the chick from Halloween, because she didn't really do a whole lot until Trading Places, where you're like, oh, that chick, yeah, all right.
Also True Lies.
Yeah, that too, but that was what, like 20 years after Halloween? Like,
Yeah, it was weird that your go-to there was Lindsay Lohan's Trading Places, Matt. I'm just saying.
No, what? No, he said.
Trading Places is the Dan Aykroyd,
not Freaky Friday.
Oh wait, no! I thought you meant Freaky Friday. Never mind. Yeah, you're right. Trading Places. You're absolutely right. Oh man, you know what's a good movie?
Yeah.
Trading Places.
I fucking love that movie. Hey,
Looking good, Billy Ray.
Yeah. Lifts him up the skateboard. He's like, "It's a miracle."
Trading Places has my favorite delivery of any line, which is when Eddie Murphy has that huge party and he wants everyone to leave, so he just unplugs the stereo and goes, "Attention, everybody, get the fuck out!" And it just cuts to the next scene.
I feel like that's the way you end your parties, Matt.
Pretty much. I sit quietly and stew, and then eventually I'm just like, "Hey, everybody, get the fuck out!" So
we're at the point where we have the chalkboard scene, right?
That's what I was going to say. She's in detention, and she gets sucked into a chalkboard, which, unlike the Rocking Horse, this special effect doesn't hold up as well.
No, because she's just in soapy gray water, which is gross. But really gropey ghost in this scene, which is very reminiscent of Ghostbusters.
I was going to say, yeah, the hands in Ghostbusters apparently doubled for the hands of Mary Lou in this movie.
Yeah.
So now Vicky has emerged from the chalkboard possessed by Mary Lou, much like every character in Poltergeist 3.
Hey, so this is the point where
Mary Lou!
This is what that movie did. That's what this movie did right, is not say the character's name every 2 seconds. But no, I felt like I was taking crazy pills watching this because for years I remembered Ricky Nelson's Hello, Mary Lou as being the song that played every time Mary Lou was coming back around, and that was like the token, like, uh-oh, Mary Lou's here. But up until after the chalkboard scene, it was Buddy Knox's Mary Lou. They're totally different songs, and I knew both of them, but I was confused because I could have sworn that in the 1957 scene at the beginning, the original prom scene where Mary Lou gets killed, was Ricky Nelson's Hello, Mary Lou, but it's not. It's Buddy Knox's Mary Lou. It doesn't become Ricky Nelson's song until after the chalkboard scene, and then it's the whole rest of the movie, which is just funny. Like it's one of those selective memory things where I totally didn't place that until it happened the second time watching it.
All right, so Mary Lou is now possessing Vicky. She starts dressing in like 50s clothes. She kills a priest named Buddy, which I like that whole sequence. She's like, "There's no heaven, there's no hell, and worst of all, I didn't get no fucking wings."
Yeah. Dude, the way that they wrote Mary Lou as being like really pissed off and pretty, not satanic, but like anti-religious was just great.
Yeah.
It was so fun, and I totally didn't pick up on that in high school. But I think they were glossing over the really rapey shower scene.
No, that's what comes up next.
Oh,
that's my
God.
favorite. That's my favorite death scene, where she crushes her in the locker and like the brain explodes out of the inside.
That scene was amazing, fucking amazing. Like, I thought she was just gonna like rip it open and stab her, but it was like, woo! Holy shit!
Did you scream at that one too, you pussy?
So that scene is why they didn't have a budget for the paper cutter decapitation.
They spent all their money on that raw beef that they just shoved through the locker.
But it was worth it because that scene is awesome. Well, that kill is awesome. The scene up until the kill is really, really messed up.
Yeah.
And Mary Lou is like she sexually assaults tons of people left and right, and then she repossesses cars. Well, we can just fast forward to the kiss between her and her dad, which is really the most horrifying part of this.
Man.
Yeah.
I mean, even if Vicky comes back and she's okay in the end, like, she's got to go home and face that music, man. Like, she fucking made out with her dad. Oh.
Doesn't she kill both of her parents then, though?
I thought she threw the mom through a door, but I don't know if that would kill her.
Oh, it's not a killer? It's not a kill? Okay.
I don't know. I honestly never really come back to it. I just know that she, like, telepathically fires the mom out the door. But, like, it doesn't... Yeah. You know, like, it doesn't look like she fell... I mean, I don't know. The brain someone died from a second-story windows. Maybe you could die falling through a door.
Oh, my God.
So, yeah, she kidnaps Craig and then seduces his father in his office. That's another thing that happens. And that's how Billy knows that Mary Lou is back. Meanwhile, Kelly is given the tally counter a blowjob so that she can become prom queen. But Mary Lou electrocutes that dude so that she can still win.
But doesn't there are two things here that I really have to point out. One, Vicky's boyfriend. At this point, I don't know if it's before he gets knocked out or something like that. But I think that it's when is possessed Vicky trying to have sex with them before the prom or something. I can't remember.
Yeah.
His Canadian accent pops out hardcore in that scene, and I'm like, I actually made a note. Vicky's boyfriend is so Canadian, he makes Adam look like Donald Trump. And then we skip to my next note then was, I just wanted to make that comment. And then the next note is the one girl who goes to give the blowjob, I believe. Her boyfriend or somebody is telling her not to drink so much, and she's like, I drink, I get drunk. What's the problem? I love these
the boyfriend.
lines.
It's the Fabio-looking motherfucker that says that.
Oh, it's the guy. That's right. Okay, yeah.
It's also Scott's motto, or Adam's motto.
Adam's motto,
yeah.
No, I drink, I get drunk.
Spookies. My motto comes from Spookies. It's like, yeah, we might fucking die tonight, so let's get blackout drunk.
I thought that you were going to quote the drunk uncle. That's fine. Everybody in... Oh, no, that's not Spookies. That's what's the one with the toilet? The
Ghoulies?
Not Munchies. Ghoulies 2. Yeah, sorry. I get Adam mixed up with that guy. The drunk uncle in Ghoulies 2.
Man, we still need to do an episode on Ghoulies 2. That's a fucking...
Have you not done an episode on Ghoulies 2?
We've never discussed any Ghoulies movie outside of us bringing it up.
Yeah, somebody. I could have sworn that I took like notes for that movie because there's so much gold. That is a gold mine, and I'm surprised Matt hasn't picked it because it's a Funhouse movie.
Yeah, I know Funhouse movies.
You could do a back-to-back most entertaining Funhouse movie, Ghoulies 2, darkest Funhouse movie, Clown House.
Yeah. Well, and for many reasons.
But the computer death from the guy that gets the blowjob is evil speak all over again.
Oh yeah. It said Esteban on the screen and everything.
Yeah.
So one more thing. I just want to go back to Ghoulies for a second since we sidetracked this shit anyway. So Ghoulies 2 is definitely the best of the Ghoulies franchise, but Ghoulies 1 is fucking unwatchable for the most part.
Oh, it's so bad.
But
it wants to be.
But it has my favorite character in the franchise, and it makes me so sad because it's got that one dude who just dresses like the most stereotypical 80s dude in the world. Like, he's got like the super round, small little glasses and the poofy hair and the leather vest and shit. And I'm like, man, I wish that guy was in Ghoulies 2. Then Ghoulies 2 would truly be a perfect film. Anyway, so yeah, she electrocutes the tally counter. So that's when Billy shows up and he shoots Mary Lou. This all happens real quick. This is like the last 5 minutes of this movie fucking speeds by.
It doesn't. Wait, yeah. So Vicky gets shot.
Yeah.
Possessed Vicky gets shot. And then Mary Lou bursts forth from her chest, and that scene is the best part of this movie. They need to remake this movie with Alison Brie as Mary Lou. Oh. Can you imagine that shit?
Yes, I would actually rather see that movie with Alison Brie as Vicky, so that we get like the Alison Brie that we normally know as like the goody two shoes, and then we get the mean streak Alison Brie.
Wait, you have to have two characters playing Mary Lou, or you have to have Vicky and you have to have Mary Lou, unless you like had Vicky wearing a blonde wig when it's Alison Brie for both characters, and she wears a blonde wig or something like that. That would be funny because then Mr. Craven could be all like, "Oh, you look like the woman that I accidentally killed."
Well, no, you just make Mary Lou into like a blonde Marilyn Monroe type character then, and you keep Alison Brie as like the chaste brunette one.
No, if we were to remake this movie, I mean, obviously, first
who would John Hamm be?
Well, he'd be Billy. He'd be Billy. Let's be honest here.
Yeah.
But I was going to say, so in our remake of this movie, though, do we change everything so that instead of it being a 50s movie in the 80s, it's a modern-day movie that Mary Lou was killed in the 80s?
Well, that would make sense.
Yeah, I think that would be fun. Then we're not treading the same ground. We're doing our own unique thing.
If we can if we can do anything with Alison Brie, if she signs off on anything, yes. Just say yes.
Yeah. So yeah, there's this whole so Mary Lou bursts open, they kill Mary Lou, Vicky gets released and she's fine, and then in the end Billy's driving Craig and Vicky away, and we realize that Mary Lou is now possessed Billy.
That's the Nightmare on Elm Street ending.
That's the Nightmare on Elm Street ending. Now, Prom Night 3 again is it's not as good as Prom Night 2. But Prom Night 3 has a really weird scene in the beginning of the movie where you see Mary Lou in hell, and she's like in gym clothes.
Is it the same actress?
I do not remember. I just know that she's in hell, and she's like chained to a rock with a bunch of other girls in gym clothes being forced to just do gym class for all eternity is her punishment in hell. And it's so weird.
Hey, next week, you already don't have to ask me what I watched. Oh my God.
So, what did you guys watch this week, since we already know Scott watched next week?
I watched a movie that I feel like Matt has, if he's not seen it, it should be on his radar because it's a really weird flick. It's like a sci-fi teen party flick. It's called Plus One.
I've heard about this. Is this the one where they keep like duplicating throughout the movie or something?
Yes, more or less. I mean, I don't really want to get into the logistics of it because it's not really worth discussing. It's more just like, okay, you watch it and you experience the way a comet hits this town and it somehow gets some sort of like energy transferred into the telephone wires, which are electrical wires too, apparently, or I don't know, whatever. But there's this rolling wave of this comet's energy, and each time it washes over an area, it makes a duplicate version of everybody there, but they are X amount of minutes behind the actual people. So it's like the protagonist guy did a stupid thing, and then his girlfriend broke up with him, and he's trying to get her back at this party, and but he fucks it up, and then he sees his doppelganger somehow, and pulls the doppelganger of his girlfriend away so he can try and get her back. It's like, it's really dumb. I mean, the movie itself, the concept is sweet. It's got a high production value. It's not an overall bad flick. I think, Matt, you should watch it. Adam, don't watch it. You'll hate it. Just because you hate everything anyway. I'm never going to suggest Adam watch a flick unless it's like a really good movie or a really bad movie that we can make fun of. Because Adam hates everything and has no gray area in his life. But Matt, you might enjoy it because it's kind of like a modern. It's like what they would make for a modern teen movie flick, like a teen party flick. It's kind of weird. I don't know. It's okay. It had been on my list of things to watch for a year, and I just kept putting it off and putting it off. And I don't know. Watch it and tell me your thoughts eventually.
All right. I wanted to discuss the fact that I, for the blog, because I really didn't get to watch too much shit this week beyond what I had to watch for my blog, rewatched Cemetery Man.
There's so much in that flick.
Yeah, I have this theory with Cemetery Man that, like, I've always enjoyed Cemetery Man, but I've never loved it. Like, there are people who fucking love it. And I feel like the reason I never loved it that much was that I watched it shortly after watching Dead Alive for the first time. And I think that the movie is, like, similar enough, but, like, isn't as balls to the wall as Dead Alive is, so it always just felt like a tamer version of that. Versus if I'd watched them in the opposite order and had saw Cemetery Man first and then saw Dead Alive, I probably would have thought Cemetery Man was like the shit. But there are still like a lot of great scenes. I love the special effects in it. It's weird. It's kind of depressing. It's
really depressing.
You don't know like what's real and what's not throughout the entire duration of the film. Like you can't really tell. Like, are these people really coming back from the grave, or is this guy just like delusional and like needs to feel better about his career, like what he does for a living? And then there's that whole like shootout at the end of the world and everything. You're like, what is happening?
Yeah.
And then apparently I never knew that it was based on like the Dylan Dog books, that comic books that like, you know, they
way better than
the movie Dylan Dog.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that movie for what it was, but it's definitely not as good as Cemetery Man.
I couldn't get more than a half an hour into it. It was bad. It was bad in the same way that Odd Thomas was bad. They both hit me the same way.
I could see that being those would be a solid double feature of pain.
We did when we did our Odd Thomas podcast on Horror Club.
Well, that was Horror Movie Night.
That was Horror Movie Night?
Yeah, that was early.
Okay, yeah, that was early. I could have sworn
number 7.
Yep.
I'll have to re-listen to it.
I think we did bring up Dylan Dog, though. I think we both brought it up.
Because they're basically the same movie.
Yeah. Essentially. One's with zombies and one's with ghosts, but otherwise it is the exact same movie. Because I remember I said it was like Frighteners meets Dylan Dog, was how I described Odd Thomas. But yeah, that's all I watched. So, Adam, a lot of pressure on here. You got to give us a good one to end on.
Oh, well, that's a bummer because I don't have much. I all caught up on Adventure Time. Yeah, I'm all caught up on Adventure Time. The last episode of Adventure Time I watched was kind of shit, and I hated it. I got pissed off about stage fright not last night, but the night before. So I stayed up extra late so that I could watch Rushmore and feel better. And Rushmore still is one of my favorite movies ever. I fucking love that movie. It's so charming and endearing and like subtle in the things that it does. And I mean, it's probably my favorite Wes Anderson movie for sure. Yeah, it's pretty good. I watched like an episode of RuPaul's Drag Race because people kept talking about it. And that's not for me. That's just not, I'm not the demographic for it. I
am. Megan and I watch that show a lot.
Do you?
Yeah.
Do you watch RuPaul's Untucked too?
I don't know. No. I don't know what that is.
Somebody was explaining to me that when they do that, like, because they're drag queens, right? They gotta like tuck it all back and everything. That they like tuck their nuts up into their body cavity, and like occasionally that'll happen to me like accidentally, and I'm like, oh Jesus Christ! But they have it like forcibly taped up in there, and then they're doing the splits and stuff. And it's just like, oh, so much empathy pain in my balls. I'm just like, oh, Jesus. Oh, like that's fucking commitment. I've never been that committed to anything in my entire life. Fuck. Anyways, yeah. I don't know that I'll be watching that again. If somebody pointed a gun to my head, I'd be like, do I have to?
All right, that was 1987's Hello, Mary Lou, Prom Night 2. Have a great prom season for any of you under 18-year-olds that listen to this show. I'm sure there's like one, maybe two of you out there. Thank you for listening. As always, go ahead and send us some rate and reviews on our iTunes. Let us know how you feel about the episodes. And also, always send us emails telling us what movies you think we should watch at hmnpodcast@gmail.com. How was my Robert Smith impression? I just kind of
That was really fucking good, man. That was really good.
You're listening to the Geekscape Network.